Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Talk Tuesday with our second summer series session. We are so glad you could join us today. We do recognize you guys are all in the weeds of starting your school year off, and it's about to begin. So we really have some great material and content for you today. So we're going to get right into it, understanding that we have a lot of information, and we also want to get you guys out of here on time so you could get back to focusing on starting up the school year. So welcome. Today's agenda. First of all, I am Christine Killiland, consultant at CERC. I am here with my colleagues, Anne-Marie Cordisco and Holly Ryan. We also welcome you with our CSDE colleagues and partners. Kari Sullivan-Custer is here and Jay Brown as well. For today's Attendance and Engagement 101, we have a topic of data monitoring, which we all could always use more tips, strategies, and refresh in this area. It's such an important area. So today we have Brianna Hennessy with us and Kendra Shakir from CSDE. But we also have Cara Wanzer and Kelly Treches with us from Danbury Public Schools that will give us some insight into what Danbury is working on. We're looking forward to that. I'll wrap it up towards the end, just a few minutes on just upcoming attendance and engagement. So just a refresh, and I shared a lot of this last time, but one more time because you are starting your school year, so there's some great resources available on the Superintendent's Digest. A lot of stuff with back to school. The digital backpack is up again. There's some information too on ARPA and ESSER redistribution funding. There are some August learning opportunities, although some of those for the digital learning and defined careers, it's towards the end of August. So I'd look into those. Those deadlines are coming rather closely. There's prospective students can still apply for free tuition for fall 2024. Some information on that as well. There's a summary of education that related legislation enacted for the 24 regular session. And definitely that's worth some time looking into because some pieces are hitting within this current school year. Others might be starting in July 1st, 2025. But it's always good to really look through that to see what the legislation is stating. There is a memorandum on here for 3-year pricing for core reading. Going through, there is some fiscal year financial data from CSDE, it's within the educational financial system. One important link here is that designation of certification shortage areas. They are defining still some shortage areas. Possibly there's some DSAP information in there or consideration. So I would say to check that one out. This is important. Are your district contacts up to date with CSDE? We understand there's always some movement going on and change of positions, but it is always good to update this so we know who to contact because that does go into the data system. There is a new EdSci dashboard on dual credit courses to check out. There's also survey and vacancies in teaching endorsements, special service endorsements, and instructional paraprofessionals. And we'll touch on this next bullet a little bit of announcing that LEAP relational home visit training, and that is exciting. And then moving forward, there is some teen suicide prevention resources, very important to look through. So there are some links for that. And the defined professional learning opportunities for the fall 2024. So there were some August ones, and now they're pushing some for fall. So definitely check that link out as well. Okay. And I'll turn this over to Kari so she could give you some information on LEAP 101, just like I mentioned in the Superintendent's Digest.
I just wanted to say in the chat, I added the link for the district attendance leads and all the other district contacts so you can check and make sure yours is up to date. I use the list for district attendance leads to communicate to the districts and send new information, new opportunities, and everything. But it's great to be here today. We had our first summer series talk Tuesday, last Tuesday, and so I covered a lot around it covered attendance 101, and I went through all our resources and all our legislation and a lot of the basics last week, and I went through some of the data. And so today I'm not going to take up much of your time. I want to have plenty of time for Brianna Hennessy and for our friends from Danbury Public Schools to share with you what they're doing. But so we did see a reduction in chronic absence. Sorry, Brianna, I'm gonna jump the gun a little bit. So we are seeing progress. Slow but sure, we went from 20% in 2023 to 17.7 in 2024. That's around 87,000 students are still chronically absent. So although we're happy to see it going in the right direction, 1 out of 5 students is still chronically absent in Connecticut when we used to be 1 out of 10. So it's good news, but it also is, well, let's keep up this great work that we're doing because it is working. So the LEAP 101 trainings are open to all districts. If you have staff or other folks doing home visits, this is a great 2-hour virtual training with our friend Francisco Beres at CREF to learn how to do relational home visits that are respectful of parents. And so feel free to sign up, have your staff sign up for any of these or sign up for them yourself. We have many people who take refresher, and it has an opportunity, they'll have an opportunity to do some role playing as well to practice their home visit. So we have them scheduled here, 2 in September, and then 1 a month through December. Next slide, please. And then this is something I was asked to share with everybody from CHDI regarding to enhance your behavioral support. So there's some focus groups and other interesting, important meetings coming up. So we wanted to make sure you had access to this. And next slide, here are the focus groups on school mental health. And encourage you to share this information with the right folks in your district. This was also sent out to all of the attendance leads as well. So if you are on that list, you probably got this email. Next slide, please. Okay, before I go there, I just want to say thank you all for all of your hard work. We really appreciate everything that you're doing. Every student that we can get to come back to school is a win and is putting them on the right track for success. So this is hard work and you have to be dedicated, and it can be tedious, but we are seeing all our efforts pay off. And so we're going to talk about attendance and engagement 101 data monitoring. I introduced my colleague Brianna Hennessy and Kendra Shakir from the Connecticut State Department of Education. They work in our amazing performance office. And they're joined with Kara Wanzer and Kelly Truchis from Danbury Public Schools to talk about all of the good work they've been doing. They've seen a great reduction in their chronic absences, and they have notoriously had great, I don't know, notoriously is the right word, but all consistently have had good attendance at their high school, which is something that a lot of districts are struggling with. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brianna.
Hi, everyone. I need to unmute myself first. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So, hi, I'm Brianna Hennessy. I'm in the performance office, as Kari said, and I'm here to talk to you guys about understanding and interpreting attendance data for the new school year. Can everybody see my screen yet? No, I have to hit the share button. All right. So now everyone should be able to see my screen.
It looks good. Thank you, Brianna.
Good. All right. Oh, and actually, before I do anything else, I'm going to drop into the chat. Actually, if someone else could drop into the chat the link to the attendance dashboard. Maybe, Kara, you have it handy, because now that I'm sharing my screen, I've lost access to the chat. Okay. So, for today, we are going to talk a little bit about how are chronic absence and average daily attendance calculated, what is shown on the EdSite public attendance dashboard, and how can you analyze attendance patterns in your school or district. So first of all, when is a student in attendance? A student is in attendance if they are present at their assigned school participating in an activity or in remote learning for at least half the regular school day. If a student is serving an out-of-school suspension or expulsion, they're absent from school unless they're receiving alternate education programming for at least half of the instructional school day. If an absence is excused, those students are reported as absent. CSD doesn't collect excused versus unexcused absences, but we think it's really important that you examine the reasons for absences in order to support students' participation in school. You know, is the student ill? Do they need connection to resources to help them get to school? You know, is it just a matter of getting them on the bus? And this is, you know, ties in a lot with what the LEAP program is doing. If a student has more than 4 unexcused absences in a month or more than 10 unexcused absences in a year, that student is reported as truant in June to us at CSDE. Truancy isn't collected with the monthly attendance, so we don't monitor that on a monthly basis. So where and how is attendance reported? So monthly attendance gets reported to CSDE at the beginning of the following month. We don't allow resubmission after the collection is completed because we go through a big process to set up the dashboard. And so, you know, it's not really possible once the data are up to take them back down and fix them. Monthly attendance, however, is not used for accountability, school and district accountability. It's more like a formative assessment if you're from the assessment world. Final attendance for the year is reported in June PSIS. That gets certified, and that is used for accountability and can't be changed after the freeze date. But that's, you know, there's a little bit more time in between the end of the school year and when those data are finalized. Monthly attendance is quick. So some data notes: districts only need to report monthly attendance for students enrolled on the last day of the month, and districts don't need to report preschool students. We do our best to clean out any records that shouldn't have been reported, but the best way to have accurate data is to submit accurate data for the correct students. We encourage district attendance leaders to work with the PSIS coordinators to check that data for reasonability. So one thing that we might see is some students have too many membership days. We see that if there's snow days, that those membership days either all get reported as students absent, which can really tank those monthly attendance, or they all get reported as in attendance. So we check those, but obviously we don't have every district's calendar, so we can't catch every mistake. Elementary students at this point shouldn't be reported as remote learners, except in very, very specific cases where there's an IEP in place. If another thing to watch out for, if the high school has an exam week, is attendance appropriately coded? So we've seen that a couple of times where the high school has an exam week and either all the students are reported as in attendance or all the students are reported as not in attendance. If you're calculating attendance rate, I have a little bit of an example. So let's say in September, 3 students are submitted to CSDE, Brianna, that's me, Addie, and Callum. And Brianna attended 17 out of 20 days for an 85% attendance rate. She's chronically absent for that month. Addie attended 20 out of 20 days, not chronically absent. Callum came in a little late, didn't start with the rest of the students. He only has 10 membership days, of which he attended 9. His average daily attendance is 90%. At that cutoff, exactly 90%, the student is considered chronically absent. Overall, for this school, the average daily attendance is all the attendance days divided by all the membership days. So it's 92%. You don't just average these 3 numbers, you average all the attendance and membership days. The chronic absence rate is the percent of students who are chronically absent. As you can see, one student missing 1 day of school can throw off a chronic absence rate for 1 month. So that's why the public site does not have chronic absence rate for individual months. And so we don't show chronic absence rates in September. because it is so volatile. You know, one kid missing one day drops this chronic absence rate down to 66%. We're not going to show that on a public site. It's not something really that you can make sense of. I like to think of average daily attendance as kind of a community experience. So, you know, how many students have their butts in the seat on a given day? When you see a number like 90%, you know that when a teacher is in their classroom on any given day, 1 out of 10 kids is missing. You don't know if it's the same kid missing school every day. That gets shown in the chronic absence rate. But you know that kind of from a community aspect, there's a lot of school being missed. If we go up to 2 months of attendance, we're going to add up the attendance and membership for each student before we calculate chronic absence. So Brianna still has, you know, pretty poor attendance in October, chronically absent. Addie missed 1 day in October. So, you know, attendance slightly declined. I wouldn't be concerned about missing 1 day between September and October. Callum had perfect attendance in October. So how that shakes out is we have year to date calculations. So before we release the October attendance, we're going to calculate Brianna's attendance from September and October, add that up. The average daily attendance is 77.5. She's still chronically absent. Addie's year to date attendance is 39 out of 40, still not chronically absent. And Callum now has 29 out of 30 days. He's not chronically absent anymore. The average daily attendance is 90%. You know, Brianna's really missing a lot of school here, bringing down the whole average daily attendance. But we see that only 1 out of 3 of these students is really chronically absent. This comes off of the website. Chronic absenteeism for all students, as Kari mentioned, we hit a peak in 2021-22, and now we are coming back down, although there's still a lot of work to get back to pre-pandemic levels. One thing we can look at with the attendance dashboard is the breakout by different student groups. So one student group that a lot of people focus on is high need status, which is students who receive free and reduced price lunch, English learner, multilingual learners, and students with disabilities served by an IEP. And we see that those high need students have much higher rates of chronic absenteeism than their students who aren't high needs. The gap is pretty big. The gap is actually shrinking each year. So if we look, I just drew these lines and we can see that the decline in chronic absenteeism is greater for students with high needs. So decline in chronic absenteeism is a good thing. I always get it mixed up because you want an increase in average daily attendance, but you want a decline in chronic absenteeism. So thinking about why we might have a bigger decline for our high need students than we have for the students who don't have high need status. Average daily attendance. These charts can be a little bit more challenging to look at because they all look the same. It's hard to see differences because we have rates that are just fluctuating between 94.8 and 93.2. But we do see the same differences by high need statuses. So one thing, you know, thinking to yourself, when should I be looking at average daily attendance? When should I be thinking about chronic absenteeism? You know, as a school, you can be thinking about which metric is going to kind of tell your story or help you target your interventions or think about how attendance is impacting your school. Finally, we only have 3 years of truancy data starting in 2021-22. And again, this is just reported at the end of the year. Each student is reported as either truant or not truant. We do see the same gap between students who have high needs and students who do not have high needs. Truancy is a really interesting thing to think about because truancy is based on those unexcused absences, and those absences aren't reported to CSDE. But thinking about, is a student truant because their absence, the reason that they were not in school was not excusable, or were they truant because there wasn't documentation for that absence? So, if a student is ill and should not be in school, but the parent doesn't know that they need to get documentation, a student might end up being truant, where that could be avoided potentially. A student can be truant without being chronically absent, because the bar for truancy is 10 unexcused absences. And at the end of the year, chronic absence is 10% of missed days, which is more than 10. So a student could be truant and actually not chronically absent. Or they could be chronically absent but not truant, based on whether or not those absences were excused. So we have the new attendance board that got launched, I believe, in April. Here's the landing page. We have a few things to look at. You write off, you're showing those numbers that Kari introduced us with. You also have a breakout for some different student groups. We have 3 tabs: a yearly attendance tab, a monthly attendance tab, and a view data tab. And when you get these slides, this is linked in the slide. So the yearly attendance tab is going to start out with just an overall view for the state dashboard. And at this point, I'm actually going to stop showing this slideshow, and hopefully you just see the dashboard. So if we go over to yearly attendance, you can pick an organization type if you want to filter to some districts. If I pick Alliance districts, it's going to attempt to show me the district level data for all the Alliance districts. And this is kind of a mess. So the first thing you need to do is limit to a few districts. I'm just going to go ahead and pick Ansonia because it's at the top. And we start to see the district level chronic absence rates for Ansonia. Once I have Ansonia selected, I'm going to view all the schools in Ansonia. So I could add Ansonia High School. Since both Ansonia High School and the district level are selected here, I can view these side by side. If I want to add back the state, so I want to view the school, the district, and the state, I need to clear this Alliance district filter so that I can add the state of Connecticut back in. And then I need to add the state level as a school. And so now I can view the 3, the state level, the district level, and the school level. I can pop this out and view it a little bit bigger, and that's going to show me the data down here. So just like the counts of chronic absenteeism and the percentages right here. Popping back in, I can group by different student groups. So if I wanted to recreate those charts I show in the PowerPoint, I just go to high need status. I can go over and view average daily attendance or truancy. So that's our yearly attendance. We want to go next. We can view the monthly attendance. Monthly attendance we collect from September through May. June data, we now just collect the June PSIS so that we're not asking districts to submit attendance data in PSIS and also in monthly attendance for the same month. So we go up through May. The latest data now are May of 2023-24. And I just see the student groups that we've been focusing on for the past few years. We see students experiencing homelessness have really high rates of chronic absenteeism. I can go to the deeper dive, which shows me a very similar dashboard to the yearly attendance. When I go into the deeper dive, I just see the past 2 years of data to limit. So we're not looking at 50 points. But if you wanted to view prior years of data, you can go in and add those under the year dropdown. I can do the same thing where I pick certain districts. I could just go in and pick whichever district I wanted to pick, or a subset of schools. If I want to view some schools, I need to add a few districts so that it will show me some schools. So if I wanted to view Andover, now in the school drop down, I can see district level or elementary school. One thing you could do is maybe you want to view all the years, but let's just view attendance in September, January, and March. This dashboard can be a little bit slow. I suspect part of it is that a bunch of people are on it right now, but it's known that it is a little slow. It's just the amount of data behind it is massive. You'll notice here, I had selected September, January, and March, and we can actually see what the selections are. If you forget, like, wait, why isn't this showing what I thought? You can check these little orange chiclets to see what your selections were. And I see that I selected September. So I'm confused why it's not showing me September, but then I remember that September chronic absence is not shown on the dashboard because we're not showing chronic absence rates for just 1 month. And we saw with Callum missing 1 day of school. If I go over to average daily attendance, we do see that September rate. So we could see, maybe January has slightly lower average daily attendance. September is actually pretty strong for average daily attendance. Thinking in our schools, what that might mean for messaging or working with families. I can't see the chat, so I don't know if there's questions in there, but I do have time for questions where I can stop sharing my screen and we can talk.
I had a comment about average daily attendance, and one way I've seen districts use it, in fact, New York City, is to chart your average daily attendance by day and to look at your half days and your snow days and some other days to see what are the days when the most kids aren't coming to school, and that can impact your planning for fun things or activities, or just promoting those days to make sure people know they're important. They called them heartbeats, and so they looked at the heartbeat of their days, and and they found it very helpful. And so it can help you when you're planning your calendar for next year or the year after, wherever you're at right now, and looking at your half days. Half days are tough days for attendance, and if you have a lot of them, they're going to really put some kids over the top for chronic absence. That's all I say about that.
Thank you for that. Finally, we have the View Data tab, which has the same filters. This tab really can get too big. It can be helpful to limit to just your school. I'm going to limit it right now to just the state, and do some breakouts. If you group by high need status, when you view it on this tab, your high needs are going to be next to your not high needs with a total column. You can export this data to Excel, which I've actually already done. Down here, I have this. And when you export it, you actually see the data are stacked, high needs on top of not high needs. And you also get this total, which maybe you don't need as much. Maybe you like it. If you have the data exported, you can make a pivot table. So what you do is you select the data that you want to pivot, and you can insert a pivot table. And just click OK. I'm going to put my selected group in a row. I'm going to make the school year my columns. And I'm going to have my chronic absence percent in my summary. And I'm just going to format these as percents so that they're a little bit easier to look at. So if you want to download the data, you can do whatever you want with it. And that's one thing I would suggest, is just making a pivot table so that you can, view it in maybe an easier to look at way.
Brianna, how did you get to the pivot table again?
So start on my page, I select the data that I want to use, and I go to insert and pivot table.
Okay.
And in the slides that I shared, there's a screenshot. So you'll get that. There's a screenshot where it shows, this is just in the slides. Oops.
That makes it a lot easier to sort and filter by school, by grade, yeah.
Yep. So in the slides that are shared, it shows you this little way to get those pivot tables. So I'd like to pause for any questions. I can stop sharing my screen so I can look at the chat. Oh, I can see the chat now. Here we go.
There's a question from Kenneth. Kenneth, you wanted to say what your question is? You want me to read it?
No, it wasn't a question. It was just, as to hear Brianna go through the membership days and days in attendance, as opposed to just only thinking about the days not in attendance, because the latter part with days not in attendance could be misleading for some of the scholars, depending on how many days they were actually in membership.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to take a few minutes. I can put these questions into the chat to have people look at their own data for their district or their school and ask some questions or make some comments. If we want to start with just the yearly.
Put the dashboard back in the chat.
Yeah, put the dashboard.
You can look at your own data.
Yeah, thank you, Kari. So if you want to go to the dashboard and just look, try to find your district or school, let me know if you're having any issues. We could look at it together. I'll give a few minutes. Anyone want to share anything they're noticing or put it in the chat? Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
So what we saw in Bloomfield was we've seen a decrease in chronic absenteeism among all of our schools and as a district. The one part where we haven't seen the decrease that we want is at our magnet school, where some of the barriers to getting students in is just simply transportation. And at our high schools, especially, we have some students that are working and being paid well. So their stance is, well, if we're working and we're getting paid really well, why come in? So it's that transportation, it's that working, and then for our younger students, what we keep hearing is families taking some vacation time with students, and maybe it's less expensive to go on non-vacation weeks than it is compared to when everybody has December break and everybody's going somewhere. So those are the issues we are looking at with our students.
We're hoping to get the secure dashboard out within the next few weeks. I don't want to make too strong promises. The secure dashboard has a breakout by resident town. So you'll be able to see, if you have students coming in from other towns, you'll be able to see if that's kind of a pain point. And I see Willoughby High School has an overall chronic absence rate. Thank you, Joe Perusi. Do we want to spend some time looking at the monthly chronic absence rates? Sure. Okay, so let's go over to that monthly tab. I'm just going to do it at the state level.
I think you need to expand your browser. So
Expand my browser. Does that help?
There you go. Yeah, that's
Yeah. I was trying to show it side by side with the questions.
Oh, okay.
I can make them smaller. Down here. So the trend in average daily attendance over the year. And is the trend the same for 2022-23 as it was for 23-24? So we do actually see over the past 4 years, we've had some changes in the trends. At the state level, we have some peaks in the winter months and then coming down. And then this past year, we see much more level. Potentially this is COVID related, as COVID spiked, and winter illness related, or even travel related. It's interesting what Jason said, that sometimes we think about, are we missing days of school that are around holidays because people are trying to link their travel with the holidays, but also on the other hand, maybe you have some people who are intentionally not doing that. Intentionally traveling at other times of the year. So we see the same sort of trends, a little bit of a dip in average daily attendance in the winter months. It's harder to see with the average daily attendance.
I think we should have a talk Tuesday just on family travel and strategies. Anybody want to volunteer? Strategies for family travel during the school year, things that work.
That's a huge thing in Danbury. We'll talk a little bit about that during our presentation as well.
Perfect, thank you.
Maybe I ought to turn it over to Danbury. Are there any other last minute questions? There's some resources, basically the attendance dashboard, the timely and accurate calendar, which shows you the due dates for all of these data collections.
I was just going to say that if you're looking at average daily attendance, it makes it hard to track your interventions to see if there's improvement, because you can see, there may be those graphs look very different than when you look at chronic absence. You'll start to see, because of student level versus student population level, you'll see where you're having an impact much more the feedback is much more immediate. And so you want to turn it over to Danbury?
Sure.
Kara,
Thank
are
you
you
so
gonna
much for having me, and I'll turn it over to Danbury.
Great, thanks so much. Appreciate it. I'm gonna share my screen, and hopefully this will work. So I'm here with our Assistant Superintendent, Kelly Truchis. I'm the Director of Data Assessment and Research. Kelly, you're there, correct?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. We're in different locations. New teacher orientation, as you all can relate. We're fitting stuff in quickly in between. So just want to thank the folks at CERC and Kari and Christine today, just so that it gave us the opportunity to speak with you all around our chronic absenteeism work. It has been a huge focus of ours over the past year. And I think it's super fitting that we are following Brianna on her presentation of the dashboard, since I live in this dashboard all the time. It's been an amazing addition that the State Department has put forward. And so we'll talk a little bit about the application of how we're using that, and then also pulling our own data. But previous to the dashboard, honestly, most of our work was being done by hand. And so this has been a nice addition. We are a district who is super grateful to receive LEAP funding, and that has really triggered a lot of our efforts in the area of addressing chronic absenteeism in our district. So I'll just introduce Danbury Public Schools. We have 13 elementary schools. We have 3 middle schools. 2 are comprehensive middle school, 1's a magnet. We have 1 high school, Danbury High School, and 3 alternative programs, 2 of which at the high school level and 1 at the middle school level. We have 12,126 students. 36% of those students are multilingual learners, K-12. And 52% are eligible for free and reduced lunch, which we honestly feel is underreported as we go through the SNAP programming. And so we are looking at how to do kind of a different, have folks fill out the form again, because that is underreported with some of our population. And we have 15% with disabilities.
So
Cal?
I will talk a little bit about our core values and belief. We were a district that enjoyed pretty strong attendance at school prior to COVID. We were in like the mid 7% range as a district, and Kara will go more deeply into the data so you can see it. And then at the spike of COVID, we were approaching 25%. So we knew we really had to do something, and do something quickly. So really it became a top priority and goal for everyone in the district. So from our Board of Education to our superintendent, to our principals, to our teachers, and really promoting that knowledge and those expectations with families and our community partners. So it really was the focus. We firmly believe that if students weren't present at school, and we still believe, we know it to be true. There are a lot of other competing priorities. We are an urban school district that struggles with achievement in the various different academic areas. But we knew that if we didn't get kids to come to school and get them engaged when they were at school, that really nothing else mattered. And so we dumped all of our resources really into this focus and priority. We got everyone involved. This is not the superintendent doing it. It's not the central office leadership team. It's not the building principal. It really comes down to everyone, our paraeducators, our custodial staff, our nursing staff, you name it, we partnered with everyone on board. We really spent a lot of time setting the foundation on relationships. So simultaneous with this, we launched retraining of PBIS. So really talking about how we can get students to feel more connected to school, that we can set the expectations for our students, and really connect them with their learning environment. And a big focus on that Tier 1 training that we did last year as a district was on all staff building those partnerships. Every student should feel connected to their school. They should feel valued by the staff in that school. They should feel safe at school. And we believe that that had a significant impact on improving our rates. transparent communication, and I can't stress this enough. Some of these conversations, particularly with families that are struggling in this area, are tough. Some of the conversations from our leadership team from central office with our principals were tough. But we kind of said to people, we're going to call it what it is. We're going to talk about the data. The numbers don't lie. We're going to share strategies. We don't expect anyone to be the keeper of like the key for attendance. There is no one thing that we did. I wish there was like that magic bullet or magic pill that we could tell you do this and it will improve. It was a combination of things. But we told our families, you're going to expect transparency in our communication with you. Attendance is important. Let us tell you why. And when you don't send your student to school, we're going to hold you accountable for why. And if you're a middle or high schooler and you're the student, we're also going to hold you accountable for the why. And for our principals, they knew that every month they could expect from our central office leadership team honest, clear, transparent communication about their school's performance. And we'll get into a little bit of how we garnered like healthy competition amongst them. And then everything we did was evidence-based decision-making. In the first year of LEAP, I will say as a district, we did district-wide initiatives and kind of everyone got the same thing. As we looked more deeply at our data, we realized that some of our schools were struggling with their ML population, some of the schools with their special education population, some of the schools with certain grade levels. And so we tried to differentiate kind of the focus and support at each building based on what the numbers were telling us.
Okay, so just a background about Danbury and the historical data. This will look familiar to you as you all were just in the attendance dashboard. I live in this dashboard since it came out. And this is what Danbury looks like overall as a district. As you can see in 18-19 pre-COVID, we were at 7.1% overall for the district. So for us, this has been, you know, really at the center of our work a long time, but certainly things have shifted over time to have competing priorities and needed to be addressed. Last year overall, we were at 16.9, and you'll see kind of the breakout in the grade levels of what's working and where we still have work to do. As a part of looking into our data, these are the things we're sharing all the time. These, and we'll kind of get into more specific the strategies, but this is overall, we're looking at the district, then breaking it out by school and grade level so that the principals can have evidence-based decision-making of where I need to focus next. For us, it became very evident in looking at, oops, sorry about that, the grade levels over the past couple of years, what a difference we were having between particular grade levels. And in reflecting on this, as you all know, when we were looking at our K1 and 2 population, even 3, these students didn't know anything besides the COVID culture. And so last year, we were very specific to focus on those grade levels to say, all right, you all entered school during COVID when one sniffle or one cough would have you out of school for 7 days. And so we went through a process of how do we reteach parents how to make decisions around being in school. You know, so having to shift the culture, particularly in those grade levels, became a big change for all of us. So we talked to principals about, you know, what has the experience been like? Please remember, if this is their first child in school, this is all they know. So Kelly really worked closely with the nursing staff to have them a part of the relationship with the parents to whether or not students should be kept at home or not due to illness and those types of things, but specifically drilling down and looking by grade level. So encouraging principals to do the same. And typically it's the same across all schools. We have 13 elementary schools. Our K1 and 2 were present the least. And then what we noticed and focusing on that over the past year, the year before, we had 24.5% of our kindergartners chronically absent. We brought that down to 17.7% over the past year. So really focusing on that, particularly right at the beginning of the school year. We also break out by different demographics each month and year to date. are multilingual learners. We have 36% of our students who are currently multilingual learners. That obviously doesn't include the students who have exited the program. That brings unique challenges, particularly when we talk about travel. And so being aware of what those numbers are very, very important. We find that families, particularly from who have whose children have a country of origin other than the United States and are in the Southern Hemisphere, that becomes our most challenging families to keep in school during the winter months, as that's the summer months for the family that they like to visit. So we have a lot of challenges around that in respecting people's cultures and familial relationships in other countries. And then at the same time, maintaining the attendance that's needed for their academic success. So a lot of times we do talk about what are the strategies for keeping students in school. And Kelly and I focus a lot on with the principals, having the one-on-one conversations with families. They decided to take the trip this year, but that doesn't mean they're not going to return their thousands of dollars worth of plane tickets, but maybe next year it'll inform different decision making around when they're traveling to see family, once they understand that this does really affect the academic outcomes of their children. So we'll kind of get into that a little bit more, but really important to just continue to have the conversation. We do the same for students who are eligible for free and reduced lunch and students with disabilities. One difference is that we really focus on when looking at the data. This tells you, okay, these many of the students who are students with disabilities over last year, we had 24.6% are students with disabilities were chronically absent. 15.7 were students without disabilities were chronically absent. Obviously, there's a gap there. We talk about, Kelly really focuses on this with her staff and the special education department in addressing needs around students who are more medically fragile and things of that nature. But one thing to keep in mind when looking at all of these different demographics is that, is it proportionate to the percentage of students enrolled in your school? So it's important to say like 24.6% with students with disabilities are chronically absent. But another way we look at it is, of the students who are chronically absent, what's the percentage of students with disabilities? So if it's 15.5, if we have 15% of students with disabilities, of your students who are chronically absent, is it falling around 15%? Same when looking at students who are multilingual learners. If we know 36% of our students are multilingual learners, are around 36%. If it's 54, you have an issue in your school that needs to be addressed differently, right? So you want to kind of match your demographics a bit, or be lower, right? It's just that it's really important to keep track of that. And that's something we kind of do by hand on a monthly basis for the principals. And speaking of how we use data to inform practice, we have a monthly district attendance team that meets specifically around strategies that the district is doing and how we're addressing it at the building level as well. That's in addition to our district data team. It's a completely separate team now, where before we kind of combined the agendas, but last year we were like, this needs its entire own thing. It can't be a part of just another 2-hour block we use to look at all the data. This needs to be its own plan with its own strategies. Kelly and I are both in the cabinet at Danbury Public Schools. It's on our weekly meeting. It's agenda item number 1. It is the first thing we look at it, and it's year to date by week. So we're looking at it K5, 6-8, 9-12 separately, and then overall district. And that way the superintendent is laying eyes on it every week. Everybody else, our director of community engagement, our IT person, obviously the assistant superintendent, our chief of schools, because at the end of the day, it affects everybody. If kids are not in school, they are not learning.
And Kara, if I
So
could just add, this is also sometimes where we will, at both the monthly and weekly cabinet, is we will, if we notice that there's a problem, we then assign someone or a dip, I should say, not necessarily a problem, but a flag that goes up of a change in data. We will then select who is the person that's following up with that building leadership team. And then that leads into our school attendance teams. We noticed that some were very, very strong and functioning, and others lacked membership. And what I mean by that is sometimes we recognized, that there was a missing link with our school nurse not being involved, or, maybe a bilingual staff member that also services our ML population, if that's an area of need in the building. And so we would follow up with those individual principals to have conversations about, hey, it's looking like your students with disabilities in your building are struggling with daily attendance. Let's talk about the membership of those attendance teams. Let's talk about the conversation. Let's talk about the follow-up of the staff members. And really differentiating, like I said, in the first year of LEAP, we were doing a lot of one size fits all, which I think was a good step in the right direction. But then to be able to dig last year a little bit more individualized and say to building principals, it's okay that your needs are a little bit different than school X. Let's tackle it in this regard. And I do think that helps significantly.
that's
Sorry.
right. I would agree with that. That being a part of, in addition, your school attendance team needs to address it in your school improvement plan. So our monthly district attendance team at the district levels is addressing it in our district improvement plans. Everyone was required to have attendance as a goal within their school improvement plan, and explicit strategies that address that. And we'll give you some examples at the end of a primary school and what their initiatives look like. The department priority, Kelly?
Yep, for the department. So our pupil services staff, so that would be our psychologists, our social workers, and our school counselors. This became their department plan or department goal. So all their work, or the vast majority of their work, I don't want to say all, was centered around their professional learning and growth on how to re-engage students. That was dependent on the age level in which they worked in. And then each one of their teacher evaluation plans had a goal around attendance. So there was accountability on the staff member as well as training. And it just kind of reiterated that constant message of it takes all of us, it takes a village, and we're going to partner in this work together.
So one of the things that Kelly mentioned earlier, the healthy competition, as well as so always having it at the forefront of every conversation. We have admin council meetings, actually bi-monthly last year. And every time we had a link to where everybody was with chronic absenteeism, as well as how many home visits were done to address the chronic absenteeism numbers. So that was placed in an Excel spreadsheet. Everybody's data is visible to each other. So that's that transparency we talked about earlier, not the students' names, just the counts, and then also what their attendance and their daily attendance, their chronic absenteeism by demographic, and then also what their home visit numbers look like to address it. So we would leave those meetings and principals would be immediately texting, I don't think you updated my home visits that were just done last week. It's not in there. Can you make sure they're in there? Because people were, really paying attention to it. And that was the goal, right? We wanted everybody really honing in and focusing on this. And there's always a little level of competition and very driven leadership, right? So we capitalized on that a bit. And then each month my department would put out, now every school knows whose students are chronically absent, they're seeing it. What we did was every month I do a individual report for the school, and they get that of who year to date is chronically absent. Also, what are they high needs or not? Are they a multilingual learner or not? Are they a student with a disability? And then there's a place for notes, and it allows folks to kind of work on it together as a leadership team. But there's also a bit of central office being able to not at all like punitive, to address it, but just to help and support. So wow, it looks like you're really struggling with your students with disabilities. There's a lot of kids that need to be contacted in home visits. Kelly will step in and say, listen, I'm going to like be sure the PPS staff is, you know, working with, we're going to try to lend some more support. So there is a place for the monthly data. I know in the dashboard, it's year to date and you can see it by month, and that's really helpful, obviously. But for decision making for central office folks, we found that also looking by month, just succinct months. So of October, there were 20 days you could attend school. These are the kids of those 20 days that were chronically absent. We try to look at that as well, because that really helps to inform like what months are you really struggling with. And I know Brianna also mentioned, and Kari mentioned the attendance rate, and that's really, really helpful. It has helped us change practice around some of our professional development, where we were releasing students early, what was better for parents. Specifically, our K-5 population suffers the most during early release days and things like that. So just keeping track of that and making sure the data is in front of the principals, and then the principals put it in front of the teachers all the time.
And I think just to highlight that point is Kara minimizes the amount of work on herself and her team, but that just allowed our attendance teams when they met not to focus on pulling the data and organizing it in a pretty fashion. It was right there for them to use, because we all know one of the challenges of schools is finding time to do this work. And so if we had 30 minutes to meet and have an attendance meeting, we want it to be productive conversations that were around students and around trends in the building, not around trying to pull information from either EdSite or PowerSchool. We do hold our leadership team accountable for being able to do that work, but we know in all the tasks that are going on in a day-to-day function that sometimes the time to do that is a challenge. So this had it right at their fingertips so that they could look at it. And I think the more we pressed it out, and it also allowed them to see kind of their colleagues and say, oh wow, what's this person doing in that building? I'm struggling in this area, let me have a conversation. So we know that sparked informal conversations, in a dialogue manner as a whole admin group, but also kind of on the side that people are like, what are you doing for MLs? You're doing a really nice job. Let me talk to you about that. So that was really helpful as well. What we kind of centralized our LEAP funding on, we hired we call them family liaisons. Essentially, they were additional personnel that were assigned to every single school. Each one of them that we hired was bilingual, and that was huge in our population in relating to our families. And so the sole focus of their work was around attendance. They were part of the attendance teams at the building level, and they also received district level training, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But every day, their work was around building partnerships with our families, letting them know that, meeting them where they are at, whether it be in the community, whether it be in their home, whether it be inviting them into the school, but having conversations with them to let them know that we value them as partners in their children's education, to get to know them and build relationships. And really the goal kind of in the next level of meetings with them was to identify those barriers, right? What are you struggling with? And we found everything from not understanding maybe the culture of, American schooling, to I'm really struggling with housing, food resources, childcare, you name it. And so then it was identifying those barriers and then working towards steps to overcome them. So with our family liaisons, we engaged in monthly training. All of them received the LEAP 101 training, but we also partner with various different people across our community. We wanted to make sure we saw the trends of what were those barriers. So example, food insecurity is huge in our district. And so we put together resources of here's the mobile food pantry that comes to each one of our schools, and it's on a weekly basis. This is where you can go. This one's on a city bus line. This is how you can get there. Here are childcare. We've partnered with various different agencies, from Head Start to school readiness to so forth, to help get students into those childcare programs. We also found adult education was a huge resource. That was something newer this year that we partnered with. They offer everything from literacy to math nights, to English as a second language, also to helping student parents obtain, different degrees or certifications if that is something that they choose. And it really helped to bring families into the buildings. We also learned through this process, we are expanding our adult education programming to be in, I think, 6 or 7 different schools this coming year, because if we can get families of the students into the school building in which their students attend, that also promotes them to feel comfortable with coming into our schools and partnering with us. So that was another huge thing. But every month we identified a topic to increase the skill set of our family liaisons and the knowledge to share strategies, but also to share community resources. In Danbury, we've also launched a collective impact, and the collective impact is partners of all various different community agencies and resources. So everyone from doctors to early childhood providers to any of our public services workforce and so forth. And the topics that were identified there were 3 key topics that were community driven. One was access to early childhood and childcare. The second was mental health, and the third being attendance at school. And so this really allowed us to do a lot of work with the community, that not only are the Danbury Public Schools staff talking about the importance of attendance, we now have our pediatricians in the community, our daycare workers in the community, and that is really a message that's bigger than the district. And so that is something that the collective impact of their 3 goals, one of them is around promoting positive school attendance. And what was really critical there is we got to hear the voice of non-educators, the voice of parents in our community, the voice of other professional staff members in our community to say, this is how I can contribute to that. So for example, one of our local pediatricians has a conversation at every yearly visit on the importance of school attendance. That's powerful, because now they're not just hearing it from us, they're hearing it from everyone. And that's just one example of that collective impact. But also when I was presenting that data along with Kara and our former superintendent the first time, it was eye-opening to me, because our community was not aware that we were struggling in this area. So it helped to inform them of that, and then partner with them on, okay, how can we do better with this?
And that dovetails to what we were talking about earlier of the evidence-based decision making. So we all often know, as educators and folks who work in this field, of like what best practice is, like what is it, how can we improve certain things? We can use these strategies, but it's really important to dig into your data to see who really is having the challenges, who is struggling, down to the individual student, looking at schools, looking at grade levels, looking at demographics, because sometimes it's not who you think. And so that was some of the eye-opening pieces of the collective impact of like, actually, in certain places, our high need students are attending more than our non-high need students. And why is that? And like, let's look into the culture of the school, or that neighborhood school, or that, grade level, to see what's different. So that's really important. Just always putting like, what is the evidence in the front, so you can make good decisions about how to intervene. I just wanted to, and we're talking a lot about kind of more like from an existential perspective of like, what are the operational things that we've done, and overarching, but I just wanted to bring your attention to one of our schools, Millridge Primary. This is a K-3 school in our district. And Michelle Tarsi is the principal, who's done amazing work over this past year. And she really embraced the initiatives that we brought forward from our LEAP funding, as well as attendance works. And we did have that on the previous slide. Just there are so many free resources, and that's something we kept putting in front of our admins as well. Like, you don't have to do everything, but there's so much here in the world of competing initiatives in public education. Like, the work's been done for you already. Like, don't reinvent the wheel, because you don't have time. Right? No one has enough time. So using the attendance works and using the CSDE dashboard and things like that become really mission critical. She really focused on transparency about data, and in her communication to parents. She used public data tracking, school bulletin boards. it's a neighborhood school. It's a walking school that has access for a lot of people in public housing, and so a lot of folks are walking to school. Right at the front of the school this is how we are with attendance this week, this day, this minute, and congratulations on getting your student to school. So really, really public data and really transparent. A lot of celebrations with students, and you'll see an example of that, of these pop-up days of celebrating their wins in the chronic absenteeism world. And then also teacher and school messages to families. So very individual. She wants the teacher reaching out first all the time to the family. Like, we've missed your child. She's important to us. And she also missed these things. And I'm concerned about her being ready to learn the next thing, right? So being really specific and explicit in messages to families. But you can't do that without building relationships with communication early and often, and just making the time to do the work with her staff. So she went from at kind of our peak in 21-22 in like when we were back in full time all the time at 22.4%. And last year she ended the year at 9.5% chronic absenteeism. So it's a dramatic intervention she did. Her real focus, and From Attendance Works, is every student should be an attendance hero. Here every day, ready, on time. So she also tracks tardiness. So you'll see a couple examples. This is how she presents her stuff to staff. After you come back from the summer, this is what you're looking at. The year before we were here, now we're here, and you can see she's doing it by month. That's something like we've really tried to encourage with our leadership, to really drill it down that way. And she definitely did that, and then showed over time, ending with in last May and June at 9.5%. So this is what she would present at staff meetings or return to staff. This is an example that's sent out to parents of the daily and transparent communication. Every minute counts at MRP. This is a week of December 4th, reminding everybody we're trying to get all three numbers in single digits. Let's keep working together for a full day of learning. So also looking at late arrivals and early dismissals. Again, you have to attend half the regular school day. So some of the times these don't count as absences, but it's also missed learning. So, and then who to reach out to for help. And so she had her school social worker at the bottom for people to get in touch with immediately. Oh, sorry, that slide was supposed to be back to the other one, got moved around a bit. And so this was what she lays out to staff. Like, this is our plan. We're doing immediate information about MRP attendance policy. That's as soon as students are enrolled in the school. They do attendance surprise days. So that's also in conjunction with her attendance superhero program, particularly for K-3. This was highly, highly effective. You saw her dressed up like a superhero. The students then also participate in that. She had public displays of attendance data, frequent calls home and home visits, and the individualized attendance meeting and intervention plan. She expected everybody to be all hands on deck. So if there is an attendance meeting and we're developing an intervention plan for the parent, or with the parent, I should say, because it's collaborative, it's who needs to be there, right? And then this is an example of an attendance plan, very simple. We're really trying to cut down on what's happening and what people need to complete, but this is just helping guide the meeting. Just wanted to give you guys an example of that. And here's a surprise celebration. So, this is sent out to parents and is sent out to all teachers in the school, and then would be up at the door. Today, 320 out of our 340 students were present at school. And so 94% of our kids were able to be a part of our hallway dance party. So she would just do very quick things that would allow students to participate, to be excited and present and engaged at school. And so here are some examples of, and then sending these out to parents. So, hey, here's our kids. We did a quick hallway dance party because we were so proud that so many kids were in school. And so, you know, it's also a little like your student's going to miss this if they're not present in school.
So just talking, when we spoke to Miss Tarsi, the principal of Millridge Primary, she, I think it's a reminder to us. She knew that she did well, but she didn't think she did that great. So it's a reminder to us as the central office leadership team to celebrate the successes. So one of the things that she's going to do as our staff return, our new teachers are here, but our staff officially return on Thursday, she's going to launch with her staff a celebration because they need to be honored and valued for their hard work. And then also have a representative from the cabinet leadership team from central office to come in and acknowledge the work that they've done. So please I think it's always, you know, we're always focusing on ways that we can improve, but just like Miss Tarsi did with her kids, it's important for us to celebrate our principals and our teachers for all the work that they've done, because this is not done without them.
Right.
The single most
Kelly, just wanted to mention with that is that there were other elementary schools who also got their chronic absenteeism below 10%. So this is just one example. And so making sure that we're making those phone calls to those principals immediately, as Kelly said, of like, wow, your work really paid off in this area. And we just want you to be able to celebrate that and celebrate it with your staff. And
we don't want to lose ground, right? We want to celebrate them for everything that they've done, but we also want to make sure that she realizes that there was a significant impact. And so for those of you that have any community-based schools, walking schools, I would strongly encourage you. Michelle believes that the single most influential factor was posting the daily attendance rates that every parent saw every day during drop-off. Similar to the way we did it with our principals, right? Here's where everyone stands. She did the same with her families and then pushing that information out. I know that there were other factors that influenced that attendance, but she felt that that was one of the single most influential factors. And it takes 2 minutes to do. She actually had her safety advocate daily. She'd have her secretary, you know, pull out the data and the safety advocate post it on the board. So it was something that once she developed that strategy, it was very seamless in getting the information out to families, and it just became part of another staff member's job and expectations. The other thing is carving out time in the day. She turned some of her professional learning time, some of her staff development time to say, you know what, everyone go back to your classrooms. The next 30 minutes, I want you to call 3 families. And here's the 3 that I want you to call in your class. They want to hear, she said it to me the other day, and Kara, we were talking with her. They don't want to hear from the principal. They want to hear from the teacher. It's a lot more impactful when the teacher says, hey, I missed Kara in school the past 2 days. How's she doing? Let her know. That has a much more positive tone and connotation than the principal calling to say, where have you been for a week? Not to say that she won't make those calls, because she absolutely will, but the first contact is with her staff. Next steps for Danbury. Our elementary data is looking very well, good. We still have room to grow for sure. We are going to continue all the strategies. We're continuing our liaisons. We're continuing our fast launch. It's a requirement for every principal in our district at their parent open house night. Sorry, the word was escaping me. To talk about our attendance policy, to talk about expectations, to talk about the impact of lost learning time when a student's not at school, to talk about vacations up front and center, all of those things at that open house night, to have communications at least monthly around attendance expectations, and then to follow up ongoing with letters and meetings with families that are not meeting that expectation. So we want to continue all the work at our K-8 building. So really our elementary schools and our middle schools, because we believe things are going well there. There is one school that probably is an outlier to that, and we're focusing on individual strategies in that K-8 bucket. But really our high school is struggling. And Kari, while I appreciate you saying we're doing a good job, and I think we are, that at the high school level is really where we need to focus. So we are having additional liaison support up at the high school, as we believe that that's critical. One of the things we are doing at our high school is we are launching on academy work. So every student will be a wall-to-wall academy. This is our second year. So our freshmen and sophomores this year will be in a wall-to-wall academy, meaning that they will have smaller learning communities. Danbury High School is the largest high school in the state. We are about 3,400 students in one building right now. We are opening a second site, a second comprehensive high school. It'll be one comprehensive high school, but 2 sites next year. And so we do believe that even just physically spreading out students into bigger spaces will help with that. But in the meantime, those small learning communities, this is going to be essential to the work of the academy teams. Yes, the academy work is important. And you know, those college career readiness skills are important in our portrait of the graduate, but none of that matters if kids are not coming to our high school. And right now our chronic absenteeism rate is too high there. So we
Right.
will be focusing our work as a central office leadership team to partner with our high school administrators to really make an impact on the students.
And what we're encouraging is, you know, early and often communication. And so one thing that we're asking folks to do at the high school level is, here's all the students. We know 9th grade attendance has a strong impact on high school graduation rates. So here's all those students who were chronically absent in 8th grade. All those students need a home visit within the first month of school, right? So looking for a more proactive approach, not waiting for a student to be chronically absent, but using the data we have to know how to support the family. Like, let's get out in front of it before we even get to that point.
The other thing is what I will share is any of the things we've done here. I said it before, there is no magic bullet. It really takes a team collaborative effort. A couple different small things can make a huge impact. So if there's anything in the slides from any of like the template from Ms. Tarsi's work at Mill Ridge that would be beneficial, you're welcome to have it. We constantly are saying to our principals, don't reinvent the wheel, share resources, use the attendance work stuff, use the information that comes out from LEAP. It's all helpful. And so it's just those little impactful things, but keeping it on the forefront of everyone's mind, I really think has contributed to our work here in Danbury. So we're excited about the year to come. The work's definitely not over. We are blessed to be part of this LEAP programming and to continue to receive the funding. We would not be able to have the liaison position in our district if it weren't for this grant. And so we thank everyone. And we're certainly here to learn from others. And if there's questions you have, Kara and I are available. And, you know, we enjoy taking away strategies from each and every one of you on this call each month. So thank you.
Thank you, Kelly and Kara. That was excellent. You touched on so many things that are just best practices, really good ideas, the pediatricians, you know, the community members, posting information so the parents see it when they come into the school. I just want to thank you so much. We will be trying to write up some of these presentations because that's exactly what Talk Tuesday is about. It's about learning from one another. And so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And so we're going to post these video recordings on the website with the PowerPoint presentations and continue to bring Christine and the team at CERC. We're going to continue to bring district success stories to you. Success doesn't mean you crossed the line, you won the race. Success means we are running the race and we're seeing small successes, and just really proud of Mill Ridge School. To really, really proud of their work. So let them know.
Me too.
Yeah. One thing, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but Rhode Island have released their chronic absence data and a lot of the work that they're doing and got a lot of media coverage, not competitive at all, but they worked with businesses. And I put in the chat to work with your local chamber of commerce and your businesses to talk about the importance of kids being in school every day, because a lot of employers are hiring kids during the school day, and talking to them about this is an investment in our future workforce. This is a workforce development, economic development issue, and we need our kids to be in school. And so they're a partner that you might want to tap into. But thank you very much. I'll turn it back over to Christine.
Awesome. Yes, thank you. Oh, this was really great and so much information. This is exactly what we are looking for. Kari is right. So if any other schools too during the upcoming year want to reach out to us with great things you're doing, we just want to keep sharing. So we are kind of wrapping up this summer series. What I wanted to share with all of you, and if you could just take a few minutes, it does not have to be right now, but it really will only take like 2 minutes. We'll send the link out as a follow-up and we'll keep sending it because we would love your opinion on our Talk Tuesday survey. So I put the link in the chat. This helps us as we plan. This helps us to get ideas about what what districts need, what schools need, what kind of their data is showing, just like we talked about today. So we could bring that content and those presenters and strategies to the table. So this helps really guide our thinking. We used it last year to help inform us. And again, we're going to use it again this year. So it's just a quick screenshot. This is what it looks like. And the link is right there. There are a few little possible tweaks we have to do to it, but it's more just grammatical. So please go ahead and take it. Again, like 2 minutes. And our next slide is a save the date. So our first Talk Tuesday of the 24-25 school year begins on September 17th. The registration link is coming soon. We're working on the flyer as we speak. We're going to get the registration link to you. But if you can't, just hold it in your calendars, just so you have a placeholder. And it will also have the following dates that precede it coming out soon. But please save this date. We are definitely looking forward. Caroline Calhoun is already slated to come back to start us off. So it's really going to be a great time. And again, as always, if you have any questions, thoughts, please reach out to us. Here are our email addresses and our phone numbers. Again, and we are looking always for district presenters. That's always our higher need. We love our content presenters, but we really have a lot of that too. We love districts because you guys are in those trenches and really seeing what's working. So please reach out. I thank you for spending your time with us today. We all thank you. We know you're right up to the next school year, so we are definitely going to end this now. But we do wish you all a happy and healthy, safe start to your school year. And we can't wait to get going with Talk Tuesday 24-25 in just a few weeks. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you soon.